Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, then welcome. I hope you find this video insightful and I hope that you learn one or two things from this video. If you are one of our regulars and you have been watching our videos, thank you so much. We appreciate that. And please don't forget the drill. Like this video, don't forget to subscribe and share with your friends. Today, we'll be talking about something that it's a little bit controversial. Let's use that word. It's really controversial. We're talking about referencing. You know that moment when you're an organization or you work for an organization, you're a manager and you receive that reference email or the call about an ex-employee's character or about their performance, and somebody decides to be honest. Yeah, you heard me right. It's good to be honest, but in today's video, we'll be talking about the implications. What does it mean to be honest? What should you be providing? What shouldn't you be providing when you have a reference email or when you have a reference call? And just so that you don't destroy the reputation of your organization, because we know that a lot of negative comments right now with the social media buzzing, a lot of things can damage the reputation of an organization. Employers often think that giving a bad reference is harmless. Maybe because you feel nobody is going to hold you to account, or you just feel that you're telling the truth. That's not right. In 2025, an inaccurate reference can trigger a legal suit, it can trigger your brand image to be damaged, and even cause a viral backlash. Now, let's break it down into what really happens when a reference goes bad. The first way we're going to look at this, we're going to look at the legal implication, we're going to look at the human implication, and we're also going to look at that reputational damage to the organization. Let's look at the legal implications first. Legally, when you give a bad reference, right, you can cause defamation risk to that human being, to that ex-employee. You don't want a reference that when it is challenged, you don't have the right proof of the facts that you have provided, or the words or the honesty that you have provided. You don't want something that's going to hurt somebody's future opportunities, especially when they are not accurate, or especially when they are biases, when they are your opinion without any evidence to back that. Also, in many regions like the United Kingdom, the United States of America, Canada, Europe, even back home in Africa, do not take a reference that is incorrect lightly. So in the UK, for example, an employee may be able to claim damages in court if they have, if they can claim that the reference that you've given them is misleading, or you've provided an inaccurate information, and based on that, they have suffered a loss. So, for example, they suffered a withdrawal of a job offer, whether a conditional offer or an unconditional offer. They can claim for damages in the court of law. Employees may also be able to claim discrimination or unfair dismissal if the contract of employment says that you must give them a reference and you are refusing to give a reference, or they were sacked because they are still your employees, but they've requested for a reference from yourself. So based on that, they can't claim for unfair dismissal, because if there is a contract that says provide a reference for your ex-employee or provide a reference for your employees, but you have refused to give that reference, and that's in turn causing delay in them getting that job, or is also causing them, the other employer on the other side, wondering what is going on, why are they not providing a reference, and it's not because you've got any facts. Why not just provide a reference if you have the facts to prove that they have a disciplinary action, they have a live case, or whatever it is. In the United Kingdom, ACAS guidance states that an employer does not have to give an ex-employee a reference if it is not stated in the contract. However, if you have to give a reference to an ex-employer, it must be accurate and it must be factual. Organizations can provide either a basic or detailed reference. So you can either provide a character reference or a normal reference for an individual, but it really depends on your organization policy. So there are certain things that must not be contained in a reference. A reference must not contain a misleading information, whether it's your opinion, whether it's a bias. A reference must not contain that. A reference must not contain irrelevant personal information. For example, absences related to disability or absences related to maternity leave, paternity leave, or parental leave. So let's take a typical example about this. You have an employee that they are not in any of your organization processes, but you feel that their performance is not good, or you feel that they are loud, or you feel that they don't fit into the culture, or you haven't followed the right process for them. And then a reference comes in and you just feel that you want to put that opinion, or you want to put that. It's not factual, it's not accurate, isn't it? And also, you don't want to put any anybody that is going through any process that is not live or current. You don't want to put that information in a reference. So let's take an example that someone has a first written warning letter, or even a final written warning letter 2 years ago, 5 years ago. Now, according to your organization policy, a warning letter is either live for 12 months or is live for 6 months. As long as it is not live, that information should not be contained in a reference. Only informations that are live and are relevant and factual that should be contained in a reference. In 2022/2023, the compensation that was awarded for unfair dismissal was over 790 cases in the United Kingdom. That brought an average award of over £12,000. So we're talking about real money here. So when you are putting all of this, the legal implication to the organization is lawsuits, money that could be used and channeled for other things. Imagine using that for payment of awards, of claim. What about the reputational fallout? That is what we'll be talking about in the next point, the reputational fallout. Social media in 2025 amplifies everything. I mean, it's like everybody's got a voice now. So you don't need a lawyer sometimes. You don't need to go to the court sometimes. People can put information on their social media page. So imagine one ex-employer posts on their social media page, and that can destroy your organization brand. It can bring, reputational damage to your organization, and bad stories, as we know, go viral fast. And especially when it's a bad reference from an ex-employer, job seekers are going to pick that. That's going to affect your organization brand. That's not going to be easy for you to refill, or bring people into your organization. So you're looking at that. You're not just looking at the fact that it's one reference. If it's not relevant, if it's not accurate, if it's not factual, why put it there? Because you feel you want to punish the ex-employee, or you feel you want to show how strong and how powerful you are. You're forgetting what you're doing. 73% of professionals, according to LinkedIn survey in 2025, says that they will avoid applying to companies that provide misleading or inaccurate or even mistreat their ex-staff. Because it says a lot, doesn't it? How can you mistreat your ex-staff? People that would give you word referrals, people that are life examples. They have those lived-in examples of working in your organization, and they can say to anybody, this is the right place to work, this is the best place to work, or it isn't the best place to work. So you want to think about that. Whether you're a manager, you're an HR professional, or you work for an organization and you hold that authority to be able to write a reference for someone. Let's talk about the human elements, right? People change, and that's the truth. A former underperformance employer, or someone that doesn't perform up to task or something, or have a bad attitude, or doesn't even fit in your organization culture, they can evolve, they can upskill themselves, they can even return to your organization as a valuable partner or a client, or go to another organization and do really well there. They might not be performing well in your organization, they might not have the right attitude in your organization because maybe it's not the right environment. So think about that, isn't it? Burning bridges isn't just bad ethics, guys. It's bad business. I have good relationship with the people that I've worked with. Well, yeah, sometimes you have those misunderstandings, but it's not enough for people to give you bad references. So you really just want to watch out. It's really bad. People, HR leaders, business leaders, managers, we should really emphasize on the fact of an exit that is graceful, leaving employees or ex-employees with dignity rather than damaging not just their reputation, but also their personal brand. Because sometimes people feel Do I have a bad attitude? If everybody feels that way, they go into another organization and they work on eggshells. They are not trusting. They don't bring in their best in the organization because they feel that part of the things that you've said about them, those references, it's impacting and is affecting them. I would also say that ex-employees, employees, whoever, whether you're an entrepreneur or whatever, we're human beings, isn't it? So when we deal with people, put that at the back of your mind that you're dealing with somebody. Would you be happy to let that person lose their job? Is that what you really want to do? So look at that human impact there. I'm not here saying that if there is a fact and there is something about that employee that they've done that you feel is really relevant. So let's take, for example, somebody is, for the lack of better word, is a rapist and they are going to work with vulnerable people. You want to be able to put that for safety of those people that they'll be working with, and also safety of the other team that they're going to work with, right? So put that in the right and the right organization, the right processes, do the right thing. If it is factual, if it is relevant, yes, by all means, please put that in the reference. We're not here saying lie or don't do the right thing, isn't it? So what should organizations do? The first thing that organizations should do is stick to objective facts. So stick to facts like the job title, employment date, the responsibility. Are they going through a life process? Is there a life sanction on their file? I don't mean the one that has been there 5 years ago. Yes, you can keep them in the file. We can use it as references if something else happens. But you don't want to put that because they've already served the punishment, right? They've already served that purpose. That document has served the purpose. Either they've been impacted in pay, they've been impacted in that. Why do you want to give them a double punishment? Okay. Secondly, have a policy, a reference policy that is approved by your legal team, that is approved by HR, and ensure that it's meeting up with the legislation of whatever country that you find yourself in. It's really important that you have a policy because what the policy does is it guides anybody that's going to pick up that document. So if somebody gets a reference, whether a manager or an HR administrator, HR professional, and they want to give that reference, they will be working in accordance to your organization policy. So yes, a policy is really important. Thirdly, train and coach your managers not to give off the references, off the record opinions, biases, their thought process about that individual is very chatty. That individual doesn't pay attention to their job. That individual, all of those are opinions, and if they are doing their job, or if you haven't pulled them through any process that they are underperforming or they have a conduct issue or whatever that is, you've managed it that far, why not just let them go and have the job that they're going to do? Fourthly, use reference check platforms. Make sure that you have a checklist of things that should be included in a reference and ensure that those things are ticked. If the organization, for example, that is requesting for the reference is asking for the sickness record, yes, put the sickness record, but do not put the sickness reasons in that document. Some of them could be related to disability, some of them could be information that they are really confidential information. So you don't want to put that out there. The individual themselves should be able to put that out there. They should say that to the organization that they are going to. It is not your duty to say, oh, they've been off sick for this particular reason or that particular reason. This is the sickness record. If they've asked for 2 years record, if they've asked for a year record, put that there. And that information is going to really help you. So yes, in 2025, your employer's brand is public. It is every word that is said about you by ex-employees, by your employees, and all of these things can go viral. People that don't know of your organization will one day find out about your organization, but you don't want them to find out, through a bad post or through a viral post from an ex-employee saying that your organization is crap, that, you guys give biases and inaccurate information in references. You'd also do not want people to sue your organization, paying out claims for things that are not relevant, I would say. You don't want that to happen. So yes, protect your organization, protect your reputation, and most especially protect your conscience, because a bad reference doesn't just hurt, it can hurt you also, and it can come back and hurt the organization. Have you received a bad reference? For example, if you're an ex-employee and you've received a bad reference in the course of your job or in the course of your career, what did you do? How did you manage? Did you sue the organization? Did you even request for a subject access request, for example, to find out what has been written about you? I have never received a bad reference, not because I'm the most fantastic staff, but during the course of my career, I just follow the rules. I'm that kind of a person. I try to follow the rules. Of course, there are times when I would speak up, but there are certain things that I wouldn't be doing in the workspace. And I'm not saying that if that happens to somebody, maybe they've done the wrong thing. So I just want to hear your story. I would really, really love to hear your story. Drop a comment below and let's find out what you've gone through, how you went about it, how did you mitigate, even having a bad reference, for example, whatever that organization or whatever that scenario was. Yeah, we've come to the end of this video, guys. If you've watched to this point, I'm delighted. I'm sure that you've gained one or two things. Don't keep that to yourself. Share this video to somebody else who'll be able to learn from it also. Until we meet in our next video, bye.